So today we're going to start on our first section of notes. We're going to start on section 1.1. So there is one big difference between statistic courses and other courses in math. So other courses in math require a lot of calculations and a lot of manipulations of numbers. In statistic classes, yes, we are going to do calculations. We are going to be doing different arithmetic operations with numbers. However, we are going to be talking a lot about vocabulary. So as we get started in this first section, I cannot begin to emphasize enough how important our vocabulary is going to be as we go throughout this entire semester. So a lot of this first chapter that we're going to look at is going to be kind of some basic vocabulary and some basic skills such as finding percentages and things like that that we're going to go through. So in this first section, we're going to jump right in and we're going to start talking about a few basic definitions, and it makes sense that our first definition is going to be that of statistics. So statistics is the science of collecting, summarizing, and analyzing observations to answer questions and learn about ourselves, our surroundings, and our universe. Statistics allows us to do many different things: explore the world around us, use evidence to check whether our beliefs are true. We're going to talk a lot about that in kind of the last part of our semester. Find patterns to lead to discoveries. We're going to talk about that kind of somewhere in the middle of the semester. And share new discoveries with others. So that's going to be kind of a continuing theme as we go. Keep in mind, statistics must be used carefully. As we're going through these different chapters, we're definitely going to see places where we're going to say, well, we want to use statistics this way, but we want to make sure we don't do this. So statistics definitely must be used carefully. Inappropriate use will result in inaccurate beliefs, which is something that we want to avoid. So we want to make sure that we are using statistics carefully. And the other thing is, results are always uncertain, right? So there's some sort of prediction, but it's not necessarily something that's 100% guaranteed to be true. So we want to keep that in mind as we go throughout this semester as well. Right? The study of statistics rests on two major concepts. The two major concepts are variation and data. So as we go through this section and the next few sections, well, and actually for the entire semester, we're going to be talking a lot about different types of variation, and we're going to be talking a lot about different types of data. So let's start with data. Data are easy. Data is one of those weird words that is plural, even though it feels like it should be singular. Data are observations that you or somebody else records. So data could come in the form of numbers. Data could come in the form of words. It depends on what we're doing, and we'll see that a little bit more in the next couple of sections as we go through. So looking at our first example, what do the numbers mean? 10.00, 9.88, 9.81, 9.81, 9.75, so on and so forth. Looking at this, we don't really know. We have no idea what these numbers mean. Right? So what do these numbers mean? If we're just given a list of numbers, right, we have no idea. Right? We have no idea because we have no units of measurement. Right? And units of measurement give us context. Right? So just looking at those numbers, they could mean about a million different things. Right? So what happens if we add labels? What do the numbers mean? 10.00 pounds, 9.88 pounds, 9.81 pounds. Right? Well, at least now we know we are looking at weight. Right? So we know we're looking at weight because we're looking at pounds, but we are still not sure on the details. Right, so what happens if not only do we add labels, we add context? These numbers represent the weight in pounds of the 10 heaviest babies in a sample of babies born in North Carolina. Right, well, now all of a sudden, with context, right, They make way more sense. Right? Context is key. And the reason we're bringing that up now is, again, as I kind of mentioned, we're not just going to see number problems. We're going to see word problems. We're going to see problems where we might be explaining our answers in a sentence, right? So learning how to label our answers correctly, learning how to incorporate those labels and that context in our answers is going to be a key part of what we're doing this semester. So it's not just about the calculations. It's not just about the math. It's about how do we make sense of all of this, right? How can we explain our results to other people to have them make sense, right? So context is definitely key. So at the top of the next page, the first sentence at the top basically says that data are more than just numbers. Data are numbers in context. So as we're going through the semester, again, we're going to be emphasizing labeling correctly, interpreting correctly, and doing all sorts of things above and beyond just the mathematical calculations. All right, so we said that the study of statistics relied on two major concepts, variation and data. We just talked about data, so let's talk a little bit about variation. Variation is the more fundamental concept of statistics. The goal of statistics is to describe and understand the variability in data. Variability meaning the differences, right? How is data different? How is it similar, right? How can we compare different data sets? Right, so in example 2, which row of circles shows more variation? The top row drawn by hand or the bottom row that was traced around a coin? Well, looking at this top row compared to this other row, this top row definitely shows more variation, right? Variation, variability, differences, however we want to think about it. So the top row drawn by hand. Definitely shows more variation. And then how can we explain that? So we can say there is more variation right? Again, we want to explain our answers carefully when we're thinking about statistics. So we're going to say there's more variation in shape. Right? That top row is definitely not all circles. Right? First one looks closest to a circle. The other ones are not so great. There's also variation in size, difference in size. Right? And right, the general roundness of each of these. Right? So again, as we go throughout this semester, as we go through this chapter, next chapter, as we progress throughout the entire semester, the idea of variation and differences and comparing things is going to be key to what we are looking at when we are looking at statistics. All right, and then last but not least, one last definition here. What is data analysis? Data analysis is the process of examining collected data to determine what kind of information the data are telling us. Data analysis involves creating summaries of data and explaining what these summaries tell us about the real world. This is the basic of statistics. This is what we're going to do. Think of graphs, think of charts, think of all different types of things that we see to compare data to one another. Right? This is the basis of statistics. This is kind of the fundamental concept of what we're going to be looking at as we go throughout this semester.